Hey, welcome back to Liquid Lunch. Coming at you live. It's Tuesday.
Welcome back.
I always say that because, you know, that's what I'm used to saying, except for the first time of the show when you don't say that because it's, except from the last show, right? You say welcome back from the last show.
Okay, fair enough. It's like this continues and there's no time in between.
There's no time.
Okay, so it's 24/7.
No, 25/8. It's one more.
25/8. Okay, that's not metric.
No.
I thought you wanted the metric.
10/10 would be metric.
I'm confused.
Yeah. Or 11/11. That would be my.
That would be cool.
Going
or 12,
one better.
12. December.
Which is coming up. 12/12.
Yes.
So we made it through the Olympics, Sandra.
Unscathed.
Unscathed.
Wasn't it you that said there's supposed to be something that's going to happen?
Well, I get all my information from George Freund, who does.
And you know what? He actually has a great show.
I know.
He has a great show, and it's possible that because everybody knew about it, they decided not to do anything.
Yeah.
Because you want to hit people by surprise, right? You want to shock people. Nobody would be shocked because everyone's expecting it, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably why they didn't do anything.
Yeah. Although there was a UFO at the Olympics, and we have video coming up.
Really? There was a UFO?
Yeah, there was a UFO. Did you see it? Did you guys hear about it?
Neither.
There's a UFO.
Wow. Very cool. Now, do we have any aliens that were competing? Well, wait a second. Maybe all those steroids, some of them looked like they could be, right?
Carl Lewis.
Their bodies are so unbelievably non-human. So
was Carl Lewis in it?
Maybe the UFO was just coming to take them back.
That's probably it. Well, there was supposed to be disclosure happening, because I know we were just talking about Jeffrey West, his show. He said there was going to be disclosure. The Queen was negotiating for exoneration from her
people?
Crimes, whatever they might be.
What are her crimes, Hugh?
I'm not saying she did any crimes. I'm just saying that apparently, this is what I heard, that she was trying to negotiate for some crimes that somebody says she did, but I don't know if she ever did.
Shall we stir the pot a little bit?
She's a nice queen. Shall we? She's a nice queen.
So we
don't you listen to her message on Christmas Day?
Oh yeah, I do. Oh yeah, and I was up at 2 o'clock in the morning just to watch that royal wedding. Oh yeah.
No, yeah. Okay, enough about that. But anyways, okay, there was a UFO at the Olympics, and we have a film, which we're going to show you in just a couple minutes, but why don't we... How
did Canada do?
I think it came in 13th. Well. We did very well. Our specialty is bronze.
How many golds did we get?
1 gold.
Just that 1 gold?
Yeah.
Wow.
Should have got gold in women's soccer, though, but...
what happened? Was it
the referee decided it.
So we got silver?
We got bronze.
We got bronze. Oh, see, I hate that when that happens, when you don't get the gold and you go right down to the bronze.
I know.
You don't get the silver.
Yeah.
That's not fair. Oh, that's too bad.
Yep. But, oh well, it's amazing.
Did you watch the Olympics?
I watched a couple things. I did watch the very end of the women's soccer game where they lost to the U.S. Because of ref's decisions. And,
that must have been interesting.
It was very good. In fact, that's when I was out with the pyramid guys. We were watching the soccer game while we were talking about pyramids.
You were watching the soccer game and talking about pyramids. Well, there's an interesting discussion.
It's like this. It's like, you know, you could get all these Canadians together to talk about New Age stuff, aliens, UFOs, pyramids, orgone energy, whatever you want. But if there's, if Canada's playing hockey, or if they're almost gonna beat the U.S. at any sport, everybody's gonna be watching the game.
Even
Doesn't
the aliens.
matter.
Even the aliens.
Let the aliens, we'll talk about the aliens later.
But you know what? I don't think they really have an Olympics out there. I think we're the only planet that does.
That's why they come here.
I think so.
That's why they were at the London Olympics.
This is where it's at.
We've got film. We're going to watch it right now. Actually, and we're going to come back and we're going to have a great show because we've got Shawn Dalton this year. We're going to be talking about, what are we talking about, Shawn, just in one word?
Nationalism. The rise of nationalism.
The rise of nationalism.
Rise of nationalism.
Kim Sibbitt is coming in. She's got a project called Heal the Earth. No, Heal the Heart, Heal the Earth.
Nice.
Yes.
Wow.
Also, the Jessica Stuart Few are in town. They just played the Reilly, I think, last Thursday. Jazz and other stuff. They're going to be here playing live. And
We've got another performer.
Scotty Newlands is here.
Yes.
He's going to be performing in a couple
He
minutes.
is great. I'm one of his biggest fans now.
And he is with the Superstarz contest.
Yes.
And we've got Val Shearman, of course, here, and Kathrine Weiss going to be coming on right after these videos.
Excellent.
Oh,
Nice
and
energy.
we have a real, and I'm not joking, we have a real video with a real alien. An interview
Wow.
with a real alien, and we are going to be playing that at some point in the show. So if
That
you want,
I gotta see.
If you want to see a real alien,
I do.
you got to stay tuned to the rest of the show.
I do.
So let's
Wow.
check
How
this
did
out.
you get that? Is that YouTube?
I have contacts
Wow.
and a YouTube account.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the secret.
Come on, if you film a UFO alien, you're going to put it on YouTube for sure.
Oh, for sure.
So it's all
For
on
sure.
YouTube anyway. That's all you
Wow.
need to know. Okay.
Neat.
So let's check this out. UFO at the Olympics. Also, we've got. We'll just play it. You guys can. We'll come back with Kathrine and
Excellent.
Val as Liquid Lunch gets underway on a Tuesday. We'll be right back.
Am I supposed to believe these buildings just fell with no explosions? I can't believe that shit.
So how does fire pulverize 3 buildings?
It doesn't, but who cares? They got their oil pipeline through Afghanistan. That's true. Because of oil, a few of us got wiped out.
America's getting crazy. Patriot Act, wiretapping, torture,
Unprotected borders, undeclared wars.
Abu Ghraib. Guantanamo Bay.
FEMA camps.
Rex 84.
And what will the ignorant masses say when World War III begins?
Sieg Heil, probably.
You know who's really responsible for all this? Dick Cheney and those neocons.
UN.
Ashcroft. And the Bilderbergs want their, what do you call it?
New World Order.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep. 9/11 was no freaking accident. 9/11 was an inside job. In fact, what we have is a new Reichstag with a new enemy. Terrorism. It's really fascism. Everybody should know. Yep. The wars are fabricated. Are you ready for Iran? Iran. Kaboom.
And the media is useless. We get fear and fiction from morons.
That's on a good day. And if you can't trust the media, where do you get real information?
YouTube.
And InfoWars. Why don't you try to read a book? Pick up 5.
Okay, welcome back to Liquid
now
Lunch.
we're back.
So you see, on the UFO was real, wasn't it?
You know what? That was pretty convincing, but I don't know. That's at the opening ceremonies?
The opening ceremonies. Big news in the conspiracy community.
How come we never really heard much about it?
Because they're trying to keep it under wraps. Queen is just about to come out with disclosure. They can't give away all the information. Right?
Maybe that was part of the opening ceremonies.
Maybe.
Maybe they did that.
It's very top secret.
And
Sure, it was a lot better than the Athens or Beijing Olympics on. That was the opening ceremony.
You know,
Really?
it would have been really cool if they had landed and the athletes had come out of
Yeah,
that.
exactly,
Wouldn't that just be the
exactly.
coolest thing?
I think that's been done
Really?
at an ELO concert. Right?
Sure.
Okay. We have Kathrine Weiss and Val Shearman here from the Superstars contest. Great to have you guys on.
Yes.
Okay, so
You're
what's going on?
Wow, it's getting bigger and better all the time. It's just been slowly growing. It's the summer, so people are coming in and dropping by and letting us hear their songs. So we have some live venues throughout the city that we're auditioning as well, because it's hard to just do everybody
Right.
in one day.
Yes.
So we're kind of doing a little tour around the city in different clubs.
Okay, that's new because last week
Yeah.
there was just one club.
Just one.
Was
So now-
Wise Guys, and now
yeah.
where are you doing it?
Wise Guys, one more Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we're going to be moving to maybe the Black Swan or the Birch Mount or maybe a couple
Nice.
clubs down. We're just still working on it. It'll be updated on the Superstars website. So please go there.
Superstars.ca.
.ca is Superstars
Stars
with a
with
Z.
Yeah.
And
The Bears.
it's a lot of fun. I mean, some great talent. I'm telling you, some of the songs that we're hearing are absolutely amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
The
But that's
artists-
not surprising, though. Really,
No,
it's not
It's
surprising.
really shocking me. Like, there is just such good talent out there
Of course.
that's untapped and unseen.
Sometimes it's so hard also for these young people to get exposure if it wasn't for Superstars
Yeah.
also,
Yeah,
you
right.
know?
Good
So
point,
contests are
Kathrine.
good. And you know, we're not huge, we're not massive, but what we've done was we've networked with the music community to help give away some prizes and give themselves a venue for these artists to go and perform.
Well, it's really organic and homegrown, and that's
Yeah,
what I
it is.
really
Of
like
course,
about
of
it.
course.
That's what's
It is.
really
Well, that's
cool
actually
about
how
it.
I met Valerie,
Yeah.
through the songwriting competition from last year.
Yeah.
And I met my co-writer for
Oh.
a few projects from this venue. And although we didn't win, and rightfully so, went to someone who deserved it, we met other connections from that. So it's actually quite a wonderful network.
You know, if you don't mind, Kathryn, I
Sure.
wonder if you could tell them a little bit about that. Do you mind if she
Sure.
tells?
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
No, it's actually
This is networking in its truest form.
No. But it's actually a great venue for people. Too bad we don't have it right across the country yet, but
Yeah.
we'll work on something towards
Working on
that.
it, yeah.
But you know, you meet different people from different walks of life and,
Yes.
as to what it's about, and they have an opportunity to showcase their music, which
Yeah.
is quite wonderful.
So how did it work for you? Because you did this last year.
I did this last year. I went up and I sang some original songs.
Okay.
And you know, the judges were pretty tough. They were critiquing the successes and the failures of the artists. And the next week, if we got voted on, we'd go to the next round and
Yeah.
we'd sing yet another song. So each week, based on what the judges were telling us, we had an opportunity to be better
Yeah.
in performance the next week.
And
So-
correct some of the things that the judges were viewing. Say, let's next week see you do, come on a little bit
Wow.
more, or
Now, were these critiques about the performance or about
Performance,
stuff,
the songwriting, the performance,
The
the
whole,
image.
the whole thing.
Yeah,
the whole
of course. Because I think in these type of contests and things that we have, they're grand prizes of thousands of dollars, recording time.
yeah.
You know, we have lots of sponsors that give products away. So, you know, funnel down. This is what a competition's about. It's not
Yeah.
a high school popularity. It
No.
truly is about finding the best talent in the area that you're in and rewarding that talent.
Wow.
That's it.
So.
I really like that they were working with them, though, because they said, do this, do that, then
Right.
come
Yeah.
back next week.
Right.
So
They
you
did.
really had an opportunity.
Right.
It wasn't
Yes.
like a one-shot deal and that was it.
Right,
No.
right.
So that's really cool. Is that the same thing that's
Yes,
happening
it
this
is. I
time
could
around?
bring you some of the clips from our last show.
that
And
might not be a
if
bad
you don't
idea,
mind, I'll bring
actually,
those.
Yeah, you should do that.
And you
Yeah.
can watch those and show some of the audience what we did last time. And I brought forward a lot of those same, rules from that last show, and I've learned so much. I love doing the hosting part because I want to be there for the artists, so I
Yes.
love doing the hosting. But we got to work with some great artists like Errol Starr. He's
Yes,
still with us.
yes,
Errol's
he's
going to come
phenomenal.
back and do some performances. He is the producer of the show. And we've got great recording artists that are going to be coming down to the judging as well with Kathrine Weiss. I mean, Kathrine, I want you to tell them a little bit about
Kathrine. I've known you for 5
No,
years.
I
You
know.
still can't say my
I say
name.
Kathrine.
We lost a drummer once because of that kind of thing.
Right?
No, can't see my name right. I'm leaving. No, actually, this year I'm one of the judges. Last year I was one of the contestants, and
that's neat.
I came third out of hundreds of people. But this year I've been welcomed back to be a judge.
Right.
So,
and you know what? This is a really good point. Just because if you don't win doesn't mean it's not the end.
Of course.
Because you're
Well,
a
look at
perfect
Jennifer
example.
Hudson. She came fourth, and she won an Oscar for Dreamgirls.
So there you go.
So many other things trickle from.
Tolkien's Lord of the Rings was rejected.
Right. That did okay. That did okay.
Yeah, that did okay.
No, and another thing is I have reason to be a judge. I sit on the factor jury. I judge music that comes in with press kits and business applications for why these people should get, government grants or loans. So these, I see pop genre or rock genre come in, and these people are putting their heart in. So I have a reason to kind of be there. I'm also a songwriter, so I know what I'm looking for as far as a story in a song, not just some nonsense written out.
Right. So you have a bit of both sides.
Yeah, of course.
That's a really good balance. That's what, I mean, that can be intimidating though as the person coming up.
Nothing.
Now speaking
I'm just
about
a country girl over there.
Speaking about nonsense written out. One of the greatest songwriters of all time, Paul McCartney.
Right.
Yeah.
Magneto and Titanium Man.
Yes.
Is that just nonsense written out?
It's not just nonsense.
So that guy,
Nonsense to me can be brilliant also. So.
Yeah.
So if he would have auditioned with that song, would you say, well, that's a really good song?
You know why I would base it on the artist, though. Sometimes it's not all just about songwriting. I also base it on the artist. Do they have potential to do something else? So you don't always just judge the one thing that you hear. I don't personally. So
and they also have to have that it. Is that what that, or that star quality thing?
Yeah, but I'm not looking for a star. I'm looking for someone that could entertain hundreds of other people by simply just writing a beautiful melody or some lovely words.
Okay.
So for me, it's not star quality that I'm looking for. Maybe longevity. Stars sometimes come and go. Longevity.
Okay, that's a good point too.
And remember, there's going to be several judges, and every judge is going to have something that's a little bit different about them that they're going to bring to the table to offer that they're going to see in this artist. Like Kathrine's great with the songs and maybe lyrics and melody. Some of them are going to be more for the stage performance and them putting forward their best shot.
How many judges will there be?
In the end, there's going to be four.
Four judges, okay.
But for the semifinals will be 4, and for the finals it'll be 4.
Okay.
Also, just to let you know that Scotty Newlands, wonderful talent.
Love him.
But the reason why I'd asked Scotty Newlands to be part of the Superstarz contest, but yet then I realized that he's with a wonderful label with Blue Sapphire Music. He's distributed by Universal, so therefore he has to become a judge. So, so I've asked Scotty to be a judge as well, and he is going to perform, so you'll see what a wonderful
Has he agreed to be a judge?
Oh, definitely.
Excellent.
It's actually, judging's quite like a song. You have a songwriter, you have a producer, you have someone who's a better vocalist, you have a guitarist, and everyone puts together the pie. I humbly don't believe that everyone can do one thing.
Right.
So I think a lot of it's judging. We have a judge that deals with aesthetics and presentation, how one looks. Then we have someone else who judges the actual lyrics, the melody, the flow, how the song, so.
Because remember, we're trying to make a hit here. This is going to be put out on radio across Canada. And thanks to current management, they're going to get the record out there. And so you really want to have that top single that's going to really make something, because we're proud of this artist to move forward in the business. And this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to help them. And also help so many others that'll be part of the contest as well. Because there can only be one winner, of course.
But no, that's what we're saying. Really, maybe one winner in terms of that deal. But boy, if you're smart with it,
from the last songwriting competition, I ran into one of the fellow contestants, and from there we co-wrote a song, and we shopped it off to Christina Houston, which is Whitney Houston's daughter. So although neither one of us won, this was something that we found each other when we were writing.
How do you get it into the hands of somebody like that?
That is the secret question, and it's actually quite easy. It is actually quite easy.
Takes a little research.
A lot of research. 98% of getting a hold of an agent, a manager, or the artist themselves is really research, especially because it's 2012. We have technology now to get there. Twitter, Facebook.
What kind of research?
Internet mostly.
No, I mean, what are you looking for?
You're looking,
what kind of information?
well, when you're writing a song, I look for when's the last time they released an album, what has happened in their life that could be triumph or tragic, and you write things like that. So you
try
research
to
things
appeal
like
to
that.
them emotionally as well.
Exactly. But
Oh,
then you
that's
have
a
to
great
find out who
thing.
represents them. Can you just send a letter in the mail with a CD and a cover letter and a bio? So these are things that have to be done properly to get a hold of
Isn't
these
that
people.
amazing? Well, because so many people are probably trying
Of course.
to do that.
You know
right?
what? It's, songwriting and shopping a song to an artist is much like IBM hiring somebody. One job, and there's 1,500 applicants.
Yeah. That's
right.
There's no difference, no difference. And it doesn't matter if you send your song in a pink package with a blue ribbon. It really comes down to timing.
So, Kathrine, how do you not get discouraged?
I always rely back on just my talent. I just jam.
So you
just
believe
play
in
the
yourself?
piano. Yeah, you know what? Whether I believe in myself, I really am crap at everything else I do. So option 2 is not available. So
It has to be a lifelong way.
yeah, no, of course. I get discouraged all the time, but I see all of the hard work I've done since I've been 4. My
Wow.
yeah.
Really?
So you look at back at all the stuff you've done, and you just you just know that you can't give up. You really can't, regardless of what it is.
It's a dream.
Yeah, the Olympians.
That's
you were talking about
amazing.
Olympics. You just don't give up.
You know what? Those Olympic athletes train for 6 hours, 7 hours a day, every day.
Right.
Every
same
day.
with piano, though.
These
Songwriting is the
artists
same thing. It's 8 hours a day in the studio,
Yeah.
writing, working. Your fingers are hurting. Your vocals are sore.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have
Sorry,
a
audio.
Maybe
gonna
we should
do
have a
that.
music Olympics.
Yes, we are. I would like to put something like that together. I am working on something a little similar to that. So
Wow,
We've been
isn't that
talking about it.
interesting?
Is there going to be a UFO there, Val?
I don't know. I don't want to appeal to any of the UFOs out there.
No, it'll be an angel
Please,
choir.
no mail, no mail.
Go ahead.
Okay, guys.
Wow.
Okay, so we got Scotty Newlands is
Yes,
here. He's going to
yes. One of our
perform.
judges.
But before we go to that, is there any just where's the tryout this week, Val?
It's Thursday at Wise Guys.
Okay.
From
Okay.
7 to 11.
That's on the Danforth.
Yeah, on the Danforth, 2301 Danforth, near Maine, in between Maine and Woodbine. You can walk from either subway.
And they can go there. What time?
7 to 11.
Okay.
Anytime. Just drop in with your guitar or sing a cappella. You will be videotaped there for the judges as well.
All right, and of course, people can find out more on the Superstarz with the
Yes,
Z.ca website
and always go there for updates.
and sign up there. And any final thoughts?
Yeah, I don't mind
Kathrine?
shameless plugs, but I'd love to write. I'd love to write for some people. So you guys can find me on Facebook, which is
Okay.
Weiss Songwriting, simple.
WEISS, correct.
That's
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have many websites. I'm really simple that way. So, but YouTube, you can search by March 21st, which is my birthday. But yeah, just really simple.
We
And
won't forget.
I'd love to help people if they have advice about copyright or publishing or licensing or how to protect your music, which is a huge part of writing music.
Yeah, especially now.
That's right.
Especially.
All right. Okay,
Wow.
guys. Great
Thanks,
to have you on,
guys.
Kathrine.
Thank you.
Good
and Val,
luck.
as always.
Thank you.
And we're going to set up Scotty Newlands right now, and we're going to play he's going to perform for us,
Yes.
and then
New
we're going to
single.
come
This is the
back,
second time he's performing for us.
and we're going to come back with Shawn
second
Dalton
show.
right after this as Liquid Lunch continues on a Tuesday. We'll be right back.
He's trying to sound like an alien.
Thanks, guys.
What I had when you were start to think about your love. Mine was always caught up in the true reality, working my career to reach above. But in the light of day, I see the errors of my ways. I just can't deny the pain I caused. Now that you're gone, I feel the hurt I always brought you. Now that you're gone, I share the heartache you once felt. Now that you're gone, I feel the earth crumbling around me. I got no one to blame but myself. Now that you're gone. Put up with so much and always stood right by my side. Although you didn't always feel it's right, I tried to do the same when it was you who needed something. Sometimes I just choose to run and hide. You never really know just what you have until it's left you, and by the time it comes, it's much too late. 'Cause now that you're gone, I feel the hurt I always brought you. Now that you're gone, I share the heartache you once felt. Now that you're gone, I feel the earth crumbling around me, and I got no one to blame but myself. Now that you're gone, say it's all the same and that you know that our run is done and now it's time to go. And I'm just sitting here and crying, so I confess my regrets, I can't take it anymore. Oh, yeah. Woo! Now that you're gone, I feel the hurt I always brought you. Now that you're gone, I share the heartache you once felt. Now that you're gone, I feel the earth crumbling around me, and I got no one to blame but myself. Now that you're gone, now that you're gone, ooh, now that you're gone. Thank you.
All right, so that was Scotty Newlands, and that song, well, Scotty's going to be one of the judges in the contest. So,
he is amazing. I love him. This is the second time we've had him on the show, and he did another song last time, and both songs are so radio friendly.
Yes.
Actually, I think he's actually getting radio airplay now.
I don't know, though. There's so many good, not to take anything away from Scotty, but so many great radio friendly songs. I don't know how they decide what they're going to play.
Well, you know what? Then why are they playing all the old songs?
Because
there's lots of room for new ones.
Q107, yeah, they got 20 songs they play all the time. It's always the same old songs.
Why can't they be
We're so
playing
sick of
new
it,
artists
Q107.
like this?
Oops, I shouldn't say that. They might be involved in the contest. Anyways, play some
they
music.
are, actually.
Okay. Anyway, back
Scotty,
to the show
you're
here.
awesome.
Back to the show.
Okay,
We got Shawn Dalton here. Shawn, great to have you on as always.
Hello, Shawn. How are you?
Good.
So we got through the Olympics, Shawn.
We did, and we will talk about that as the third issue of Topic. We will explore that. There was an article in the Epoch Times newspaper which claimed that, well, I'll read the article and we can discuss the merits of it because the evidence proves otherwise. Okay. And I wanted to start off on a little bit about the effects of mass immigration on the housing prices in Toronto and also on the hospital.
Okay.
All right.
Wow. Okay. That's a heavy topic.
So this report on Business Magazine was published April 2012, and it says that in 1987 the Toronto home was $195,000 on average. Right. And now it's $481,000, or 146% increase.
Wow, 146% increase.
Yeah, so you need on average $481,000 to purchase a house in the Toronto area.
Since when?
Since April 2012, April 2012.
When were they? Yeah, but what was that over? When did that? What is that measurement period? What was the beginning of that measurement period?
97, 2007. So 14-year period, 15-year period.
All right.
So
460.
And that includes condos, right?
No, I don't think that includes
just
condos.
Homes. That's just homes. It might include condos.
I think it does.
There are some condos that are $1 million condos.
Yes,
it probably does. But it also had an effect on the hospital industry. So many people coming into the city. Because as we mentioned in previous interviews, 75% of new Canadians go to Canada's three main cities, Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal, and to a lesser extent, Alberta. Okay. This article was published in the 820 section in the Toronto Star, Monday, July 23, 2012. Hospitals struggling to predict growth. Do you mind if I read some of it to you guys?
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. I'll stop you if there's too much reading because it's TV.
I selected the sections to minimize that. Okay. The emergency departments at both Toronto Western and Toronto General have exceeded their capacity with a combined total of more than 100,000 visits to the ER every year. The city's population grew by almost 112,000 residents, a rise of 4.5% between 2006 and 2011. That's more than 5 times the growth reported in the previous 5-year period, according to Statistics Canada. The city's website reported that there are 132 high-rises currently under construction. It's the most of any city in the world. The downtown population boom has also put pressure on St. Michael's Hospital. When its emergency department was built in 1983, it was designed to handle 45,000 patients a year. Today it sees more than 70,000 patients annually, and the figure is growing alarmingly fast. Quote, "We've been growing up to 5 to 8% a year over the last 5 years," says Doug St. Clair, St. Michael's Executive Vice President and Chief Medical Officer. Just wanted to read that to you guys.
Wow.
Okay, well, you know, and the whole medical thing is you know, it'd be interesting to see what it is, because I know in other cities too, all cities in Canada seem to be coping with, you know, overuse or whatever you want to call it, other medical facilities and the medical thing taking a bigger chunk of the budget.
Yeah, those are the consequences when you bring in massive amounts of people. It puts upward pressure on houses. First-time home buyers can't afford them. If you get into trouble of some kind and you want to go to the hospital, good luck getting in, because you'll have to wait 18 to 20 hours to get service. You might actually die waiting for service. It's a crisis situation.
Well, you know, the thing is, this talks about talking about the housing prices going up. If the government is letting people in because they have money, assuming that that's going to help the economy, what we do see is we see more dollars chasing a smaller, finite-sized housing stock, driving house prices up, not necessarily really contributing to the overall growth of the economy, just creating a bubble in housing prices and other prices too.
Right.
So that's not the way to. In the old days, of course, we invited lots of people to come to the country, and invited them to build farms and work in mines and stuff like that.
There's also a smaller
That's
amount
a different kind of wealth building than just bringing money in.
There's also a smaller amount of people too. It was more manageable. It wasn't excessive. Like, this is crazy.
Because what I would say to that is that, you know, we can. You know, letting 100,000 people in that can be managed, but it needs to be managed. We can't just throw the gates open, invite people in, and not plan for the increase, because those people that are coming here can be involved in providing those facilities too, if it's properly managed.
Well, you need to have a system and infrastructure to be able to support that, right?
Yeah, of course.
So, and that's not what's happening, is what you're saying, Shawn, right? It's
Evidence
like
speaks,
basically they're not creating. We have the same problem with traffic.
Yeah.
We have more and more people on the roads.
There's 4 times as many vehicles on the road than there were 20 years ago. It's the same roads.
And yet there's no more roads.
Yeah, the roads are the same size,
unless you want to pay for the 407.
They knew that was coming anyway.
Yeah, they did.
They knew that was coming in the 60s.
And they didn't do anything about it.
Yeah. They did. They built the 401.
All right. There's a ad in the careers section in the Peel District School Board. Do you guys mind if I read you the ad?
Sure.
This is also a consequence of this process. Teaching opportunities. Secondary International Languages Program. The Peel District School Board is one of the largest school boards in Canada, with 152,755 students in 231 schools. We require teachers to provide instruction at the secondary school level in Brampton and Mississauga in the following languages. You'd think they'd say English, right? But here we go. Greek, Mandarin, Pinoyan, Polish, Sinhalese, and Vietnamese. Classes will operate on the weekend from September 2012 into June 2013. You must be fluent in the language of instruction. But then it says, preference will be given to applicants who possess a certificate of qualification from the Ontario College of Teachers, which basically means in order to get that certificate, you would need to have a good, strong grasp of the English language,
sure.
Which in most cases, native-born Canadians would most likely have an advantage in that area. For details or information about these opportunities and application details, please visit the, quote, Work in PL section of our website and choose, quote, Continuing Education Hiring VIP. Application deadline Friday, August 31st, 2012. Okay. There's an issue there's something happening in Singapore. I wanted to move on across the ocean to Singapore.
Okay.
Because an article in the New York Times caught my attention.
Okay.
And it was published Sunday, August 5th, 2012. It was republished by the Toronto Star on page 2. So do you mind if I read a little bit about what's going on there?
Sure.
Okay. The article is called Singapore's Anger Stirs Against Chinese by Andrew Jacobs. What makes the clash particularly striking is most of Singapore's population was already ethnic Chinese, many of them the prodigy of earlier generations of Chinese immigrants. The paradox is not lost on Alvin Tan, the artistic director of a community theater company. Quote, Mainlanders may look like us, but they aren't like us, says Mr. Tan, who is of mixed Malay Chinese descent and does not speak Mandarin. Quote, Singaporeans look down on mainlanders as country bumpkins, and they look down on us because we can't speak proper Chinese, end quote. These days, mainland Chinese get blamed for driving up real estate prices, which is what's happening in Toronto, in Singapore, stealing the best jobs and clogging the roads with flashy European sports cars. Quote, Singaporeans woke up one day to find the trains more crowded with people who speak Mandarin, and they aren't handling it very well, says Jovelyn Wham, an executive of an organization that helps foreign laborers, many of whom face exploitative work conditions. The amount, end quote, the amount of xenophobia we're seeing is just appalling. The government has already started to reduce immigration. The number of new permanent residents has decreased by nearly 2/3 since 2008, when 80,000 applications were accepted, while the number of people granted citizenship has remained level at about 18,500 a year, according to the National Population Talent Division. So there's a backlash against the multicultural society. It's not only happening in countries like Singapore, it's happening in Germany, France, the UK, and Holland, which basically came out last year and the year before and basically said that the multicultural society that they tried creating is a failure, and they're going with the U.S. melting pot model. So if you get accepted, they'll pay for it, but you have to sign a contract saying you'll study 3,000 to 5,000 hours of language training.
Where's that?
In Germany and in France, it's French, and in Holland, it's Dutch, and in England, it's UK, it's English.
So you have to become their.
Well, you have to speak.
Right.
You have to, make an attempt to speak their language, because this kind of thing is happening all over the world.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, and I know a little bit about Singapore because I just read it.
Yeah.
Its history.
You can't even spit in the street. You'll be fined. It's a very clean.
We
country.
should have a rule like that here.
We should actually. Yeah.
Then we don't have to worry about getting silly parking tickets because they'll be getting so much money with charging people for.
I know one of
the
the issues in Singapore is that they have a low birth rate. So they're dealing with, and they have a very successful economy, and it is a very multicultural society.
Is it multicultural or multi-ethnic?
Well,
multi-ethnic means people of the same, people who look different but speak the same language and share the same values. Multicultural means you have your own thing, I have my own thing. There's a huge difference between.
I'm not sure, and that's it's hard to say one or the other. But I know that they have had a history where they've had to deal with a lot of tensions between different ethnic groups, and they've managed to overcome it. And I think that although we can talk about multiculturalism, that there may be some issues with it and different issues in different places, like we can't go back. We can't go back to say we're going to send, where are you going to go? Where are you going to send people
No, but we
back
can make an attempt to teach kids the history of this country in the school system. We can make an attempt to gauge people for language ability. We can minimize the negative effects of multiculturalism.
Absolutely, we can manage the situation well.
We don't need to be another Europe or Singapore. We don't need to go down the road. You look what's happening, right? So,
but look at the measures they're taking now, because they're recognizing that, right?
And Canada's taking measures too. Harper gave back 280,000 applications, and they're going to gauge people for language ability, and they're also going to have a job offer in the 2013 immigration when it opens up again. It's been frozen for at least a year.
Now, I know you're feeling very positive about the steps the Harper government is taking towards the immigration policy, but what are we going to see in terms of the numbers?
The numbers, I'm not sure.
The numbers of people that are coming into the country.
It depends on, they're going to be offered jobs, so it'll depend on how many jobs are available. It'll be more of an economic reality than an ethnic vote bank for the Liberal Party of Canada. So they never consider new Canadians to be true Canadians. They always look at them as immigrants. And people live here long enough and they become Canadian. And they resent that kind of treatment. It's a form of marginalization. Like, you live in a country long enough, you're a citizen of that country. You eat the food, you speak the language, you have a job there. And if you're lucky, you meet your future love there, get married, have kids, whatever. There's happily ever after. Multiculturalism also makes people preserve the. I'll read you this article if you don't mind. Sure. There was a Canadian wrestler who was rated #1 in the world, and he went to wrestle for India. And I don't know what the result was, but he could have wrestled for Canada. He could have got us a gold medal. We only had one at the Olympics. So I'll just read this article. Here's about the States, though. Track and field. U.S.-born athletes make up most of Haitian's small Olympic squad. This was published in the Metro newspaper, Monday, July 23, 2012, in the sports section, under Lodoc's Games on page 31. 4 of Haiti's 5 Olympians at the London Games have something in common. They're not from Haiti. With millions of Haitians living on $2 a day or less, and hundreds of thousands of people rendered homeless by a devastating earthquake 2 years ago, the country struggles to produce world-class athletes, which is understandable, right?
For sure.
But those with Haitian links are eager to represent the small Caribbean country. Quote, I still feel Haitian, even if I wasn't born there, 21-year-old sprinter Marlena Wesh said in a telephone interview with the Associated Press. Wesh, who will run for the 200 and 400 meters at the Olympics, grew up in Virginia, but her parents are from Haiti. So multiculturalism creates a love for the home country instead of the country you move to. You know, it creates
in some instances.
In some instances, right? So.
Well, that's interesting.
It
So
is.
she represented Haiti.
She did. And so did two of her fellow compatriots. And so did the Canadian wrestler who was born in Canada, who ranked #1 in the world. And he went to India. And
Now, where did he get his training?
Here.
Did he win a medal?
I don't know. I didn't look into it. I just I read about it and I zoned out. I'm like, I can't believe this, you know. So.
You can do that. You can train in one country and just say, well, I'm going to represent another country.
Absolutely. Multiculturalism gives you the ability to have dual loyalties. Like, you don't have to love Canada. You can love some other country instead. You can, you know, you don't even have to learn English. Like, there's no standards of assimilation based on the multicultural model. Like, you can even watch TV of the home country that you live in, and that's what happens, you know. Rogers is offering a variety of TV stations.
Well, and it's interesting because when you talk about, just think about it, when immigrants came to Canada 100 years ago, there was no TV, you know, so they went from wherever they came from and whatever language they spoke.
Right.
Bang!
Complete
They're building a sod
isolation.
hut on the prairies. And you know, they have to learn English to survive, and they're totally out of touch with their culture. And now, every day, the world gets smaller. And the world is more capable of delivering media in any language anywhere on the planet. And I'm not sure anybody has really considered what that means in terms of how that affects, because now somebody can come to Canada and immerse themselves only in their language and not become because of our media environment has changed.
Right. But there's evidence to prove that there is a Canadian narrative, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. Okay. There's one more article I'd like to read. Canada's Multicultural Athletic Edge, and this was published in the Epoch Times newspaper, August 2nd to August 8th, 2012, so this month. And it says, Robert Shrink is the Canada Research Chair in Multicultural Sport and Physical Activity and a Humanities Professor at Laurentian University. His current research focuses on the intersection of multiculturalism and sports psychology, a field in which Canada is second to none. With up to 20% of Canada's elite athletes born in another country, understanding how their cultural background factors into their sports performance can play a major role in coaching them to success. But it turns out it just isn't the new Canadians who benefit. When coaches let foreign-born athletes share their own athletic culture, like a more intense work ethic or emphasis on results, it can boost everyone's performance. They actually motivate their domestic teammates to a higher level, says Shink. Quote, when coaches are really inclusive of culture, they actually permit these newcomers to share some of their culture and customs. That seems to the advantage of the team context as a whole, to be at a team or an individual sport. That's what's known in the social science business as, quote, reciprocal acculturation, or in layman's terms, I'll give you some of my culture and you give me some of yours. So it doesn't actually just enrich the athlete, and it doesn't just give them an advantage, but it actually gives their Canadian teammates an advantage, says Shink. Quote, Canada is a highly inclusive country. We embrace our cultural diversity, and I think one of the ways to do so is actually by making a space for reciprocal acculturation in the sports context. And ironically, by doing so, we don't just create a space for these newcomers to feel welcome, but we actually facilitate peak performance, he says. A little bit more. They often find the Canadian sports system overly forgiving of lax performance. In other words, you can suck and still
We knew that already.
In training. For example, if an athlete is underachieving in a day of training, a coach might say, quote, we'll lower the expectations. You've got high demands in terms of your studying, and that's what they're very forgiving. This would never happen in the athlete's culture of origin. So that's kind of pathetic, right? I mean, they should have high standards, all athletes. It doesn't matter if they're born overseas or born in this country. We want athletes to get gold. We want them to strive for gold. We want to see people cry if they don't make gold. We want to see the passion and the exuberance of this great nation on the world stage and kick some butt. That's what the Olympics are for. We're not satisfied with silver and bronze. We want excellence. And half our athletes are training overseas. The shot putter, Dylan, he was training in Austria, and some of the runners and hurlers had to train in the States. We have no facilities for Canadian athletes. It's pathetic.
They've improved it a little bit,
but the Haiti guy.
I agree with that. I mean, we know that.
It's madness.
We know that even the Canada-Russia series.
Well, we need to have debates about it and get other people to know it. And
well, we've been talking about this in this country since. Remember that famous commercial with the Canadian and the Swede?
Yeah.
right? Like we've known we've been behind on that since way back when. So but we're still behind. Obviously, our medal totals. Bronze is our specialty, as I was joking
But
earlier.
you know what? Okay, maybe this is not going to be a popular thing to say here, but if there are great facilities that are close by, why would we spend the money to do that? Why not spend the money somewhere else?
Well, and here's a whole other take on it, though, Shawn, because I just saw that Brazil is now going to invest $1 zillion to get up their medal counts. I'm going like, is that really where we want to be? Is that really what life's all about?
It's not what life's all about. When the Olympics come, we better start performing better than the last Olympics. It's pathetic.
Well, we can do better. Okay. What do you got next? We don't have a lot of time left, Shawn. A couple more minutes.
Okay, I've got some ads from some newspapers, and this is how politicians pursue the ethnic vote. Okay, so happy Independence Day. Brampton City Council would like to wish a very happy Independence Day to all our residents of Pakistani heritage. The city of Brampton takes pride in our multiculturalism and is delighted to commemorate Pakistan's Independence Day. 31.8% of Brampton residents were born in Pakistan or India, so they're just towing the line pretty much.
31.8%
of the population of Brampton is...
Right now?
Yeah, right now. It's from India and Pakistan.
Wow. That's a high percentage.
All Bramptonians come together as a community to celebrate and understand each other's culture and traditions. Brampton City Council is committed to fostering and promoting diversity as a cornerstone for success. Dr. Helena Jasnik, MPP, Oak Ridges Markham, celebrate India, wishing all of you a happy Independence Day, August 9, 2012, in the South Asian Times paper.
By the way, I got to say, they had a big event right over here at Dundas Square for Indian Independence Day.
Right.
And I rode my bike by there, and they were all singing "O Canada." Just letting you know.
There you go.
I should have been there to see that. I would have been happy about that.
Yeah.
Another article, South Asian Times Generation Next. Happy Independence Day. Wishing both India and Pakistan a happy Independence Day. Enjoy the celebration. Rithika Shibishan, member MP for Scarborough Rouge River, and Dan Harris, they're both members of the National Democratic Party. I got this when I was downtown at the Nathan Phillips Square. It sponsored a child in need in the Philippines. I didn't see one Canadian flag wave, and there's police there to protect it or whatever. And I remember when there was floods in parts of Canada, Vancouver and in Manitoba. Where's the help for that or whatever? There seems to be an eerie lack of silence when it comes to Canadian. But don't worry, because I bought this book at Union Station. It's called The Maclean's Book of Lists, and here's the great news, and it's coming down the pipe at us. 1960, the census that we have to fill out, how much income, where you're born, what's your ethnicity, how many people in your family. The top 10 ethnic origins then and now. 1961, the most common terms Canadians used to identify themselves. Remember, this was before Charter of Rights, Freedoms, and Multicultures in 1982. Okay. The most common terms Canadians used to identify themselves in 1961. French, 5.5 million. English, 4.1 million. Scottish, 1.9 million. Irish, 1.7 million. Germans, 1.1 million. Ukrainians, 473,000. Italian, 450,000. Dutch, 429,000. Polish, 323,000. And Aboriginal, 220,000.
Right.
So in 2010, Statistics Canada released, this is for 2011, like just before 2010. The number one ethnicity was Canadian, 5.7 million.
Awesome.
So more people checked the Canadian, I'm a Canadian box, and there was markedly declines in every other, in French, English, German, by 60 to 90%.
That's
Only 1.3 million people describe themselves as English, as opposed to 4.1 million 40 years ago. The French, 1.2 million, and remember, it was 5.5 million. That's like almost a 90% plunge. The Chinese, 1.1 million. There was no Chinese back in 1961, hardly any. Italians, 741,000. That's an increase from 450,000, surprisingly. German, 670,000, but there was 1 million Germans in 1961 who claimed their ethnicity, so that's a plunge of almost 60%.
Wow.
So the nationalism, is sweeping, and we have 7.2 million foreign-born residents. So that's from 2010. That's up from 6.5 million from my last research, I think around 2008 or something. So, 34 million people, you divide 7.2 into 34 million, and that's the percentage of foreign-born citizens. So people feel more Canadian now than they ever have.
That's great.
So that's really good. That's really, really positive. So a lot of these things are not necessarily a bad thing then.
Yes, they are.
Okay, so...
We don't live in Pakistan and India, we live in Canada. We should celebrate our sports.
But they feel they're Canadian though, don't they?
A lot of them don't, though. A lot of them watch TV in different languages. A lot of them celebrate their own cultural events as if they've never left their own country. And I find that an insult to the Canadian family, our sense of inclusiveness, our sense of homogeneity, our sense of unity.
Oneness, yeah.
Yeah, and if we're only going to succeed if we unite together and then go out and kick some butt as one people. We need to all be on the Canadian page. We need to speak the same language, share the same values. You don't have to look like me.
Same
but
languages you mean.
Yeah, English.
And French.
Only in Quebec and parts of New Brunswick.
And Ontario and every province.
I don't mind seeing Quebec separate. I don't care anymore. I think that if Quebec wants to separate...
I grew up in a very francophone town, and so did you,
yes,
in Ontario.
I did, yes.
I went to French immersion.
Towns.
Went to French immersion school. William G. Miller. I learned French when I was we had 1 hour of English a day up to grade 5. So
anyway, Shawn, we have it's great to have you on.
Wow.
We have a.
Thank you for your passion.
God bless you. Thank you.
Is there a contact info you want to give out?
Sure. Shawn at endoffees.ca. That's my email.
Shawn at endoffees.
Yeah. And that's my research website, endoffees.ca. I do book reviews on the financial industry because I'm working on a book on how the banks conquered society. And my phone number is 416-557-5666. And my number will be reconnected once they fix my basement because of the floods that happened in East Scarborough. I'm living somewhere else for about a week or two. They're installing new floor.
Maybe we should be donating money to help you
in
your flood situation.
Help the Shawn flood, right?
Okay.
But there's probably no will for that anyway, because there's no will for the floods in the other provinces. So I'm just being honest.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you, Shawn. We're going to take a little break.
You, Shawn.
Thank you very much. God bless you. Thanks.
Let's watch that debt crisis video, and we're going to come back
speaking
with.
Speaking of end of fees.
Yep. Kim Sibbitt is coming on.
Sibbitt.
We're going to heal the earth, heal the heart, and heal the earth.
She is very, very cool.
Right
Her story is amazing.
Thatchannel.com.
Wow. That was really good.
Hi, my name is Julius Reed, and I'm going to try and explain the debt crisis to you in less than 10 minutes. I highly recommend watching the whole video. It's a really important issue. And don't worry if you know absolutely nothing about finance. I'll explain everything. But let's start off with the fundamentals to get your financial knowledge up to scratch. In our current monetary system, all money printed into existence is issued by the central bank. The central bank is an institution which controls every single aspect of a currency, and each currency has their own central bank. They can create money, destroy money, set interest rates, you name it. The way they issue money is by lending it to various institutions so that it can be circulated throughout the economy. This includes the government and creditors, such as the bank you put your money in. So, in a very simplified hypothetical, let's say that you wanted to be the very first creditor into existence. You'd go to the central bank and borrow money, and let's assume you only needed $100 to start out. The central bank would lend you $100 with interest. If that interest rate was 5%, that would mean that you'd have a net debt of $105. However, if all money printed into existence comes from the central bank, how is it possible to pay off any interest without borrowing more money and getting into more debt? Answer, you can't. What this means is that there will always be more debt than actual money. If the interest rate is set at 5%, there will always be 5% more debt than money available. In other words, all money is nothing more than unpayable debt. But don't get me wrong, I'm no economist. The way this debt-based system works is that the economy must constantly outgrow its debt in order to sustain itself. It's assumed that the money borrowed is used to create wealth, which fuels growth by encouraging more borrowing. The key word here is borrowing. Borrowing money creates debt, including interest. It's this interest that fuels further borrowing and thus hopefully facilitating growth. Confused? Here's an example. So Tim here borrows $50 from your bank at 7% interest. Obviously, the interest rate for your bank needs to be higher than the rate that you borrowed your money from, so to make a profit. Tim then uses that money to buy an axe and proceeds to cut down all the trees in his backyard to produce some wood, and he sells that wood to the public, making $75 in total. So he goes back to your bank and pays off his debt of the $50 plus that 7% interest, and he comes on top with a net profit of $21.5. But what about those people who bought Tim's wood? Where did they get their money from? Assuming they received their money from the same bank, your bank that is, at 7% interest, they now have a net debt of Tim's profit of the $21.5 times the 7% interest, which comes to roughly $23. Debt that has to be paid back to your bank. But who knows? Maybe those people needed that wood to heat a kitchen in a restaurant to serve customers, or maybe they used it to build furniture to sell to the public. All the money generated from those businesses goes towards paying off their own personal debts, preferably back to your own bank. Yet, how about their customers and their debt? So as you can see, all you're doing is trading wealth for debt. The interest on that debt forces more borrowing to pay off that interest, and hopefully that borrowing can be used to create wealth. As we've established, debt facilitates growth. It's assumed that by borrowing money, you're using it efficiently to create wealth. However, that's far from the case. Ignoring the fact that GDP is mostly a fake measure of wealth, the debt to GDP ratio is a relatively good indication of whether money is being spent efficiently to create wealth. GDP stands for Gross Domestic Product, and it's basically a measure of the total wealth of the services and goods in a country at any given time. Here's a graph measuring the debt to GDP ratio of Australia. As you can tell, Australia currently has around 160% debt to total worth. Now let's look at America. America has a private debt to GDP ratio of around 260%. Including public debt, the figure is more like 360%, which means that there's roughly 3.6 times more debt than wealth. In a perfect society, the debt to GDP ratio should equal the amount of interest. Therefore, each country should have a debt to GDP ratio of around 7%, assuming a set interest rate of 7%. Yet, how does this all relate to the debt crisis? According to the website usdebtclock.org, total US debt comes in at roughly $55 trillion, and that includes public and private debt. Yet their GDP is only worth a mere $15 trillion, including unfunded liabilities such as Medicare and Social Security. Total US debt comes to more than $170 trillion. I'm sure you can do the math, and that's just America. Italy, Portugal, Spain, Germany, France, England, and Greece all have an external debt to GDP ratio of over 100%. Ireland has an external debt to GDP ratio of 1,103%. Now, there are thousands of reasons that have led us to this current day of the debt crisis, and I'll try and cover them in other videos. In a nutshell, however, two things happened. As you can tell from the figures, we've been living beyond our means on borrowed money we knew we could never pay back, all while the government manipulated us through our financial ignorance. The fact is that tax revenue can't pay for most government services, so instead we borrowed that money with little hope of paying it back. According to the US federal budget of 2010, over 49% of the budget was a deficit, meaning that the government had to borrow 49% of the cash to pay for all the services. If that sounds sustainable to you, please stop watching this video. Also, thankfully for the politicians in power, a majority of the population have no grasp of even basic economics and finance. A classic example is inflation. Theoretically, there should be zero inflation in a functioning society. However, we're led to believe that some inflation is good. In reality, it's nothing more but a hidden tax. This relates to the deficit, but I'll explain it another time. Since most people lack an understanding of the mysterious ways of money, politicians can get away with making crappy fiscal decisions, which essentially have gotten us to the point where we are today, on the verge of complete global financial meltdown. So, if we already have all this debt, why hasn't the system imploded yet? Well, it's imploding as we speak. The tipping point was the 2008 global financial crisis. World governments are literally on life support as they take every unsustainable measure to postpone default. Governments literally have two options at this stage. They can either default on their debt, start from scratch and admit the fact that they will never be able to pay back their debt, or they can follow the current path of borrowing their way into an inevitable default. World governments are literally borrowing billions and trillions of dollars to merely pay off prior debt, which obviously puts them in more debt. Eventually, you get to the point where you struggle to even borrow enough money to pay for the interest payments on your debt. The borrowing and printing of all this money will cause hyperinflation, and your savings, pension, and all the cash you own in the bank will become worthless overnight. It happened to Germany during World War II, so it's certainly not absurd. In fact, every single debt-based system in history has ended in mass devaluation and eventual collapse. This time is really no different. Now in this video, I merely aimed at addressing the fundamentals of the problem in the most simple and articulate way possible. I decided to make this video to get the message out there to the common person, because I once was in your position not long ago, but through months of research, I think I've become informed enough to tell the tale. Not to mention, this is going to look great on my CV. Through my website, you can learn everything that I have, but in a much shorter period of time. After all, I'm only the convenient middleman. I have no financial qualifications, and I'm only 18. But I have a passion to help others, and I'm just really damn smart. I'll tell you all the people I followed and all the research I did, so think of this as the ultimate hub or resource. In fact, there's a disgusting amount of content that I haven't addressed, and it would take hours to explain everything. But put simply, we're looking at the biggest global depression in human history, but luckily there's still time to prepare. The sad thing, however, is that it's already been built in. It's only a matter of when things get bad and what you can do to minimize your losses. And don't think you're safe because you're not invested in the stock market or real estate. The coming events will affect everyone. Currencies worldwide will devalue and your cash will become worthless. So if you would like to learn more about what you can do to prepare for the coming collapse and education on financial topics, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and please do check out the website. And thank you for watching.
Do you know about 2012? Who? Welcome back to the show.
The aliens are here.
See, we're on the show now. And here you are saying the aliens are here.
My sister's birthday is December 12th, 2012.
Excellent.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah,
does that
that's
mean?
cool.
Well, it's actually
this is on
December
the air.
21st. 21st is, I think the date is
Yeah, but you know, there is something to December 12th as well because of the whole numerology thing, right? 12, 12, 12.
So she's got 12, 12, 12 this year coming up. So that's going to be
That is very cool.
Do you think we're going to make it that far, Kim?
Oh my God, yes.
Get out.
Isn't it a little bit egotistical to think that the world's going to come to an end? This great, big, beautiful piece of art. It can't come to an end. It's going to continue.
It might metamorphosize or whatever.
Well, it'll change. Energies, it's already been happening for years.
Yes,
it's already
that's a
been
good
happening.
point.
That's been going on for a long time. It's not going like that.
All right. Well, this is we've got Kim Sibbitt on the show joining us, and Kim, I mean, that's very optimistic. You know, I hope you're right. You know, that we're going to make it through the end of the year, and you're doing something about it in a sense because you've got this project, Heal the Heart. What is
Heal the Heart, Heal the Earth.
Heal the Earth, and we're wearing the stickers.
That's
Or
right.
not the stickers. These are
I've got a
pins,
pendant.
right? And you've
That's
got
right.
one too.
Yeah.
I've got a pendant, right?
Pendant. You have a pendant. You have a lapel pin.
I do.
And Heal the Heart, Heal the Earth started back in 1991-92. And I was using art to heal my own broken heart. I had gone through a real devastating period in my life. And I used to sit at nighttime and doodle with the words heal, health, hearth, and try and do a crossword puzzle kind of design with them. And for 3 nights in a row, I had someone whisper in my ear, put this in a circle and you'll understand what we're trying to tell you. So when I did that, this is the circle that I got. And
Let's hold that up.
Yeah.
This is what it is, and it's interesting. I don't know. Can we zoom in on maybe on if you can see that? Because unless you see it in the circle like that, you don't realize what these words are and how well they work together.
That's right. And the actual message, it does say, that circle says, heal the heart, heal the earth.
Yeah.
Or heal the earth, heal the heart. Whichever way whatever you do something good for, it comes back on, is reflected back to you. So if you're going to go out and plant trees or save water, whatever you're going to do environmentally, it's going to make you feel better, and that's going to encourage you just to keep on doing more and better things.
And that's because we're all connected. There is
That's
no
right.
beginning and no end, hence the circle.
Exactly. If you took a letter out of there, it wouldn't work, right? If you took a letter out of there, it just wouldn't work. And we're all the same. We're all connected.
Okay, now what were you doing? Just doodling with these words and these letters,
Yes.
and like, what was your intent, or what was your? What were you working on at the time?
I was just, I was back from, I had been down south in the States, and I was back from there, sitting in my apartment late at night. My son was about 5 years old. He was tucked away in bed, and I would sit there and I would do the word health and the word heal and then intersect them. And doodling was like therapy for me. It was a release. I'm an artist. That's what I was born as.
Okay.
And so it was kind of therapeutic and a release for me. And I would do endless designs and color combinations, and because the word heart and the word earth are the same word, you just change the position of the H.
Right.
And the word earth has the word art in the middle of it. And so that
Very
just
cool.
kind of linked me to that. The earth is this huge, beautiful piece of art. And it wasn't until, that was in 1991 or 92 about, and then last winter, I've played with this for years. It's kind of evolved. It's become more and more and more every year. Then I put it away for a while, and then I bring it out, put it away. But last winter, I was playing with it, and it dawned on me the word art is in there. And I was using art to heal myself. And that became the platform and the format that I was able to share it with the world then. Then it made sense to people that art does heal. And I've met endless amounts of people who have cured themselves from cancer, cured themselves from because they've tapped into that. It's one flow, one source. It's always creative, it's always healthy, it's always loving. And it's up to you whether you tap into it or you block it off. When you block it off, you create illness or disease, right?
So what did you do moving forward with this then?
I've sold it as jewelry.
Okay.
I've created the website.
Okay.
So on the website, you can go there and you can post your own art. And it's just all brand new, so there's not a lot of art there. But you can go and post your art and tell us a bit about it, why you created it, what it meant to you, and what you hope it means to the rest of the world. And people can also go on and look at the art and make comments. And if there's someone that you want to connect with there, people are able to connect back and forth. And hopefully that whole energy flows through, and it's global then. And that's my ultimate, is that globally we start to become friends. Globally, whoever our enemy is over there, if I was friends with him on a personal, intimate level, then I'm not so likely to pick up a gun and shoot him.
Yes.
Or become war.
Yes.
Right? We won't, if we can start one by one saying we don't want war, that's what we can do.
Well, it seems we may have our work cut out for us, because there's a lot of talk about having a war with Iran or whatever like that. And, you know, I know lots of Iranians right here in Canada, and they're great people. And I do not want a war with Iran.
Exactly.
Period. Right? So.
And the more of our voices that stand up and say that, I think, if we can't feed the fire, if we can't fuel the fire, then there's not, there won't be one.
But isn't it, it's not really the people who want the war. It's really more to do with the governments and people who are running the countries, because most people are just like anybody else, and they just want a place to live, raise their family, have a community, you know, shelter, food, and that kind of thing. Everybody wants the same thing. And you know, the government is not the one actually doing the fighting out there as well, right? So it's easy for them to say when they're, you know, the fat cat sitting in their office, letting everybody else go out there and do the fighting and getting killed. So I think most people don't want it. So why do we have it? It's really.
But I think it's time for us each as individuals to start stepping up to the plate and adopting this kind of philosophy that it's like taking a bully in a classroom. A bully will try and seek his power, steal the power from another child.
Yes.
And if he couldn't, because he's not feeling that power within himself.
That's right.
And if someone gave him maybe some art or some way to express himself where he felt safe, and it could be singing, it could be songwriting, it could be writing poetry, it could be doing paintings or sculpture. If he found a way to express that need within himself, he wouldn't be going to try and steal it from another child. And I think if we can start on that sort of level, reaching children at that age, you know, grade 1 through, you know, elementary, and start teaching that and having that as part of their daily thought process, then I think maybe not our generation, but in that generation as it grows,
permeate.
It will, be like osmosis sort of thing.
Yeah. Now, do you consider, Kim, sports a form of art, or is the competition thing not?
I think some sports are, and they're the ones that I see more as a form of art are the individual ones, like gymnastics, where you're only competing against yourself. You're only doing your best, your personal best. I think when you get into team sports, it gets more competitive between, like, gotta win, and winning's great, but it's not everything. Not everyone can win, so what happens to the other people then?
In fact, very few people. There can only be one, right?
That's right. And so what does that do to the confidence levels of the other people? And they still need to know that they're valued. They're hugely valuable people on this planet.
Interesting.
That's what the Canadian Olympic team's been trying to do forever.
Yes, it's
Right.
not about the competition.
It's just about participation.
That's it.
I mean, I think that has happened.
I could see us if we won a gold. No, you take it. I'll take the bronze. That's how come we have so
That's
many
what Canadian athletes do. Just kidding. Okay, so now what's the plan with this? So you created these pins,
right?
And this design,
and the design,
and they're beautiful.
And what's the plan with this, and how is it going to help achieve everything that you're talking about?
All right. So my plan is, if you have an organization that's looking for a way to raise funds for the organization, it might be, and I'm tending to lean towards groups that fall through the cracks. And there's a lot of huge fundraising organizations, but we even had some people on today that are doing things at Wise Guys Restaurant. And I know some of those artists might be looking for some extra cash for traveling expenses or something like that. Could be anything. Or a dance routine, a dance troupe might need some uniforms or something like that. So my intention is, at this point, to sell the pins, and a percentage from the sale of the pins goes into a trust fund for scholarships, scholarship money for artists in your communities, in various communities. The thing about the design, it doesn't have to always be in a pin or like a pendant or a pin. Mine's sterling silver, yours are base metals. And you can order them in sterling silver, you can order them in gold, but they're all special orders. But it could be a bookmark, it could be a Christmas tree ornament, it could go on anything that might suit your organization better. And any time that it becomes a brand then, so that any time something is sold with this logo or design on it, there's a percentage goes back into the trust fund so that there will always be scholarships available. Because art is a universal language.
Yes.
It speaks to everybody. You know, we all know about the days or the performances that we see on stage that you just want to stand up in the aisle and shout because they're so exciting. And that's a language. And that's where we want to see this. So I'm creating, it's fundraising. So if people are out there, groups are out there, they're looking for a way to fundraise, if they want to represent it on their website or on their, sell the pin or create it into a bookmark, create it into whatever it's going to suit for them, we can do that.
Now, you brought the book here. Do you want to just go through this and show how all the words are contained? Because I don't think people really got that yet. And it's so cool.
Where should it?
Well, let's just aim it forward, right?
Aim it forward?
That camera over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, if you start at the H at the top,
can we have a close-up? There we go. Okay.
Okay. So the 4 H's in the design, this was not intentional. This is just the way it came to be. The 4 H's have fallen in the 4 cardinal directions that is similar to a native medicine wheel. So it reflects that teaching of we're all connected and what goes around comes around.
Okay.
And it starts at the top. It says heal the heart, heal the earth. Or you can go heal the earth, heal the heart.
It's weird. You could almost spend all day just going around and seeing the different...
It's almost
meditative.
It's
very meditative.
Yes.
And then here's the word earth, and there's the word art in the middle of it. There's health, hearth.
Health and
health.
You're the elf.
You're the elf.
You're the elf.
Yeah, and so it's just here, ear.
Here, I'm just looking at all these different words you can come up with.
That's
it's really quite amazing.
So there's actually 10 words, and then even the little word he, I use as an acronym for a human experience.
Wow.
Instead of a reflection of gender, it's a human experience.
Wow. That is beautiful.
It goes on and on. It's very meditative.
It is. I'm captivated by it.
Okay.
It's very neat.
So this is really
very
cool.
Clever.
Now, is there anything else you need to tell us about the story of how this came to be? You said somebody whispered in your ear. Was it an alien? Because we are going to show the actual alien interview in a couple of minutes.
Oh, I want to see that.
Well,
okay. No, I have always relied a lot. I'm an artist, so my creative comes from somewhere else. I'm in another zone. And I know the nights that I would sit at home, I was pretty devastated, and these 3 people would stand over my shoulder. It's like, you know, when you feel like someone's staring at you, they're just like right there. And they said, put these words in a circle and you'll understand what we're trying to tell you.
Now, are they still around you,
Yes.
Kim? Yeah,
Yes.
okay. You talk to them all the time?
Sometimes more than others. I've been a little lax in it lately because I've been really busy with my day work, you know,
Yeah.
but
Do they have names, or I'm assuming they have no genders?
there's 2 males and a female that I see that are there most often. Okay, now you're going to think that the whole world's going to think I'm wacko now.
What color are their antennae?
No, Hugh's got them too.
No, they're quite human looking, actually.
Sure.
Yes, although one is extremely tall, 7 feet or so.
A Nordic,
Wow.
no doubt.
Wow.
It's probably based at Mount Shasta.
No reptilians here.
Are you having fun with this now, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow, that's so neat.
Okay, Kim. So if somebody wants to participate, maybe use it as a fundraiser, or
They can contact me.
Okay.
They can go to kim@healtheheart.ca and send me a note, and I'd be more than happy to get in touch with them.
Okay. Kim at healtheheart.ca.
Yeah. And if you go there, it tells you a bit more about, that website is more focused on the art and the healing aspect of art. That's where you post your art. And there's also a copy of the YouTube video.
Yeah.
That is at the bottom of the first page on that.
Okay, so they just go to healtheheart.ca. They can see the video and get in touch that way. And
That's
find
right.
out
Or they
about
can
the
call me
project.
if they want to call me.
Great.
Nice.
Okay, Kim.
Well, thank you for doing this.
Yeah,
It's
thanks
beautiful.
for doing this, and thank you for these. And,
Yes, I love it.
See, I told you.
I
told you she'd like that.
Yeah, you know what? I have a friend who is Aboriginal. We do sometimes we do ceremonies.
Excellent.
And
You'll have
this
to let
is
me know
very
about those.
because this is very symbolic of stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And, drum dancing and drumming and that. Oh, it's the
And
amazing,
their
amazing
whole
times.
story is about the circle. Life is a circle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
definitely.
it's really, really. For me, there's a real indigenous
Feel to
component
it.
here. Yeah,
Mhm.
it really, really feels like that.
That's
So
good.
I think that's why I love this. I love this. She's gonna love it, my friend.
Okay, you know what we're going to do? We're not going to play the alien interview yet.
Why not?
You're going to have to wait till the end of the show before we do the alien interview.
Okay.
Just to keep people tuned in, because
Tuned in.
Jessica Stuart,
I want to know about your guides. So I want to hear about yours.
my guides.
Yeah.
Who said I had guides?
I did.
Yes.
Okay, well, we can talk about that right after this. But anyways,
His
Jessica
guides.
Jessica Stuart Few is in here, maybe a little fewer than normal, but we're going to come back and get some live performance from those guys, and we're really looking forward to that. Let's just watch that video number 4 there about the orgone energy, and we're going to come back with Jessica Stuart and the gang right after this.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kim.
From UFOs to ghost and psychic powers, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now and learn the stuff they don't want you to know. Here are the facts. In China, it's called qi, and in India, it's known as prana. In the West, we call it the soul.
Hi, I'm Kim from healtheheart.ca. Are you like me and believe in the healing power of art? Please visit healtheheart.ca to share your thoughts and your work. Feel free to browse the creative submissions, post your comments, and join the healing conversations. While you're at the site, buy a pin and feel good knowing a percentage of your purchase will assist artists in your community. Also, is your organization looking for a unique and meaningful way to raise funds? Contact me at kim@healtheheart.ca or call me at 647-382-5133. That's 647-382-5133 for more info and healing ideas. Thanks.
But what exactly is it? To the religious, it's a spark of divinity that connects us to the universe. To the skeptics, it's a series of chemical interactions within the brain. Billions of people believe in spiritual energy, but there's no scientific proof of its existence. Finding the soul is a tricky proposition. Modern science has disproven many historical notions of this energy, but the search continues. History is filled with stories of charlatans and believers alike claiming to have discovered it. Consider the notorious experiments of Dr. Duncan McDougall in 1907, when he claimed that the soul weighed an average of 21 grams. This experiment was deeply flawed, but failure hasn't stopped us yet. In fact, some people think the search for the soul ended decades ago with a man named Wilhelm Reich. Born in 1897, Wilhelm Reich studied psychoanalysis under Sigmund Freud. Freud's theory on the libido fascinated Reich, who believed that the libido was a real physical energy. He moved to the US, where he began research on this energy. He called it orgone. According to Reich, this energy permeated the universe, and orgone imbalances could create health problems. Reich claimed orgone treatment could combat cancer. His ideas eventually caught the government's attention. According to declassified FBI files, Reich was under investigation for ties to the Communist Party. In 1947, the agency concluded that Dr. Reich was not a communist agent and did not believe his research was subversive. Then the FDA began to persecute Reich, suing him in 1954 to place an injunction on the shipment of orgone-related devices and literature. He was arrested that same year. According to skeptics, Reich was locked up for making false claims and distributing what amounted to snake oil, but others don't buy that story. Here's where it gets crazy. While mainstream historians believe the feds prosecuted Reich for alleged communist ties, his supporters paint a different picture. These theorists say Reich was singled out because his orgone accumulators worked. He did not request payment when treating people, and he held demonstrations to prove the effectiveness of the technology, chiefly focusing on the orgone chamber. These boxes are made from layers of wood, wool, and metals. According to Reich, they concentrate ambient orgone energy, which can cure physical ailments. Reich also used orgone to operate his cloudbuster, which he claimed could manipulate cloud cover. Archived newspaper articles report the cloudbuster's alleged success. So if orgone is real and potentially beneficial, why did the government crush Reich? Most theorists believe factions in the government and the medical industry repressed Reich's work because it threatened the status quo. Other theorists believe President Eisenhower enlisted Reich in a covert war against extraterrestrials and that the arrangement soured. Both of these groups are short on proof and resort to rumors, but the FDA's actions are suspicious. After stalling transportation of the device, the agency collected Reich's literature and burned it in incinerators. Reich died of heart failure in prison in 1957. Today, he's a controversial figure, on the fringes of psychology and at the heart of conspiracy theories. Which image is closer to the truth? Was Wilhelm Reich hounded for being a snake oil salesman? Or was he jailed for discovering something they don't want you to know?
Because of his unwillingness to reveal his own identity, Victor's story stands or falls on the credibility of the tape he supplied. Here, exclusively for the first time anywhere, is the uncut, uninterrupted alien interview tape, shown in its entirety in real time.
You removed the soundtrack from the tape before you turned it over to this program.
That's correct. I can't allow the voices of the project personnel to be heard by the general public. There's a very good chance their family or friends on the outside might recognize them.
Isn't your purpose in releasing this tape to expose Area 51 to the world?
My purpose is to expose the existence of the aliens, not compromise these individuals. I made the decision to come forward. I'm taking precautions to protect my own identity, and I don't think it's fair for me to put these others in danger of exposure. In any case, the interview on the tape went nowhere. It was interrupted, as you'll see.
Can you describe for us what we're seeing?
All right, we're looking at the interview suite at S4. It's kept dark for the comfort of the aliens. The figure who is just barely visible in the left foreground is the telepath, and behind the camera is a raked seating area for observers. Although in this case, I believe the only other person present was a military aide. The alien is seated behind a glass partition in a biocontainment area, which is maintained at biosafety level 2, the lowest designation. That's primarily for the protection of the aliens, not us. The theory is that if they were going to infect us with an alien bug, it would have happened 50 years ago. In fact, all the indications are the aliens eliminated microbial and viral life from their own ecosystem long ago. They aren't susceptible to our diseases directly, but it has been shown that microbes can reproduce and form colonies within their respiratory systems, which tends to exacerbate the debilities they seem to suffer anyway in our environment. In fact, you can see here, the alien is beginning to flag. The interview was not going well. The telepath was trying to clarify some points from a previous interview, but he wasn't receiving coherent responses. As you can see, the being is in real distress.
Just because it's fun to.
At this point, the telepath is sending out a message to the medical staff. He's trying to communicate with the alien, but he's getting no response. There's very little he can do. There's no direct connection between
Say again? Sorry,
his space and the biocontainment area. That's the aide stepping in on the right. The medical staff should be there by now. They're slow in responding.
Let's just try from the verse.
There they are. I have to say the medical personnel at S4 are less than first rate. They tend to be selected for their willingness to keep secrets rather than their medical competence. By the way, he's not shining that light into the eyes. It looks that way, but in fact he's checking the hemorrhaging around the eye sockets and in the nasal cavity. I'm sorry. It's very hard for me to watch this.
Just because it's fun to. Much less than that if possible in the.
Have I finally seen a space alien? You know, I don't know. But I do know this. I know that this is not a tricked up version like the alien autopsy. It doesn't attempt to distract you away from the alien. It doesn't have that cinema verite, black and white. It doesn't go to great lengths to try to fool the audience. Straight ahead. It's an alien on tape. Pretty much the way you'd probably film it. The point is this: what if it is real?
In evaluating the authenticity of the alien interview tape, the logical place to begin is with the videotape itself. What can the technical details of this recording tell us about its origin? Rocket Pictures sent Victor's original tape to the Phoenix laboratory of renowned image analyst Jim Delatoso. Using the most up-to-date digital technology, Delatoso tried to determine the tape's authenticity.
I've been exploring, looking at different aspects of the image itself to develop questions for a matrix on, is it real or is it fake? I grabbed a frame in the computer, and we're outputting it now in digital format, and you can see that we have an absolutely solid picture. What we've done is taken the picture and moved it over so that we can look at the information that's in between the frames. Now, when we look at the motion video, we can see that it still is not bad. And when we have this little indicator down here, it tells me that the original image was transferred using some kind of time-based corrector. These are video screens up here, television, video monitors, and they're off at an angle. If this was shot using a video camera with lines on it, we would see moire patterns up there, and we don't see the moire patterns. So there's a probability that this was shot originally on film, possibly a film stock like 7252 or 7247, depending on the lighting.
The idea that these images may have originated on film is in direct contradiction to Victor's statement that the interview was shot on video. On closer inspection, Delatoso decided the images could indeed have been recorded by a video camera under certain specific conditions.
In this case, I get the sense of it that this was originally created using either film, transferred telecine to beta, but then this is the third generation, or it was taped under very low light conditions with the video gain boosted probably 12 dB.
Even the emotionless analysis of a computer cannot provide a definitive answer. Delatoso's efforts yield tantalizing hints, but in the end they only increase the mystery.
One of the key things about this creature are its eyes.
Like the other experts, video analyst Jim Delatoso was emotionally affected by what he saw. He took the tape very seriously and offered this personal opinion.
If someone faked this, I don't like these people. I think it's a bad thing for people to do, because if extraterrestrials come here, it's an incredibly important thing to understand who they are and why are they coming here. If this is not faked, I think we've got a glimpse here of a sense of communication with someone who came from a long distance away.
When asked his opinion of the alien interview, Adair was careful to answer only in terms of his own experiences.
If you're referring to the film where it's aliens being interrogated at Area 51, I don't know. I've never seen a UFO in my life. I've never seen aliens pickled in a jar or anything like that. But I know I saw an engine that wasn't from our terrestrial technology. If you look at an engine like that, it came out of a craft. If it come out of a craft, then that craft has occupants. So it's very logical to assume then that those occupants could still be here and they could be interrogating them, or they could have downed another craft since 1971.
Makeup artist John Criswell has provided special effects creatures for many Hollywood motion pictures and television shows, such as Spaced Invaders and Babylon 5. Hired by Rocket Pictures to create the aliens for the recreation segments of this program, Criswell was very interested to finally see the real thing.
By Hollywood standards, I would say it's a pretty decent puppet. Well, to be honest with you, I would love to buy this being real, but it's probably a hoax. Well, I think this is a really cool design, and it's a great concept, but I think I could have done better. Whoever did this, I mean, they could have a job in Hollywood in a minute.
And welcome back to the show. We're hitting the hope stretch here, right, Sandra?
Right, Hugh.
See, we got only one mic that we have to share for this last part.
Does that mean you have to wait every time for you to put it in front of my face?
Yeah, sort of.
Because I'm never going to.
By the way, we did see a little bit of that alien video, right?
Yes, we did. And that was very cool.
It was real. The aliens are real.
I would like to take a survey. How many people
Actually, let's ask our next guest, because we have Jessica Stuart and 2/3 of the Jessica Stuart Few here. And Jessica, do you believe in aliens? Did you believe that video?
Video. I don't think I have the knowledge to evaluate the authenticity of that video. I don't think for certain there's no aliens, but I also don't think for certain that there are aliens. So I need more proof.
Okay.
I think Jessica has taken a public relations course.
I don't know. Well, we got
no,
Tony.
I'm being honest. I'm very open-minded. So, you know, someone who had done a lot of research, they would probably have more grounds to give you an opinion which counted for something.
Okay, well,
Tony,
we better
what
ask
do you
Tony.
think?
Yeah, if you can. Yeah, there, Tone.
I thought it was pretty cool. It kind of reminded me of those, like, alien movies.
Exactly.
I've seen, like, either Hollywood blockbusters or sort of lower budget ones like Cloverfield or...
Actually, you know what? He looked like my brother.
It was kind of cool to watch, you know, so I'm entertained.
It's real. It's real. Okay. Hey, so anyway, it's great to have you guys here. I know you had a big show in Toronto last Thursday that I missed, unfortunately, but how did that go? Well, I mean, what was the occasion for doing a big show at the Reilly?
Well, first of all, we have a brand new music video which we were launching, and then we launched it online the following day. So that was the big first screening of the video. And then also we had just come back from a really awesome 3-week tour of Western Canada. And so we wanted to sort of have the final show of the tour run, I guess. And it's nice to play to our current hometown, so to the band's hometown. So it was awesome.
How did it go in Western Canada?
It was fantastic. I had such a good time.
I had a blast.
Yeah, it was I would say it was my favorite tour I've done.
Thus far with this group?
Absolutely.
It's my favorite. It's the highlight.
Yeah. It was, we played Vancouver, Richmond, headed over to the island and played Victoria, then the Islands Folk Festival, mid-Vancouver Island, then Nanaimo, Victoria again, did Gulf Islands, mainland, through the interior, and then 4 dates in Alberta at the end.
Wow, so in 3 weeks, how many shows did you do?
It was 16 shows.
Wow.
Did you drive over the mountains?
We did drive over the mountains.
That's...
but wait, just like as far as, we went as far east as Edmonton.
Rogers Pass.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
We passed through there.
That's a cool drive.
Clearly he was driving at that point because he knows what it was called.
Don't you? You know what freaks me out when you see those ramps for the trucks if they lose their brakes?
Oh, yeah.
Those emergency ramps. That freaks me out.
Yeah. That's a sign that you're driving on I guess like a rough patch or
a dangerous...
high
anything could go wrong.
So it was kind of a thrill, but at the same time I was like, you have to get to our next show.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't have too much. Part of the reason that the tour was awesome was because our audiences were all so super engaged in what we were doing and really gave us the sense that they really appreciated us coming because they don't get to hear things like what we're doing where they are, which is always a nice feeling to leave with. And but the other thing was that I like this tour in times past. You know, each tour I booked. This is probably my eighth substantial tour I've booked, and each tour I sort of learned to leave more space and more time to not have to rush between things and not have to travel as far. And it really makes the whole quality of the trip way more than just playing, and it gave us the chance to really get into the nature of BC and just to be generally relaxed and enjoy what we're doing.
Well, that affects your playing too.
Oh yeah,
right?
for sure, absolutely.
Although that sounds pretty tight to me. You said you had 16 shows?
Yeah, 16 in 21 days.
That's a show.
That's lots of days off compared to things we've done before.
Yeah, and I think
really
compared to like a 9-to-5 job, 5 days a week.
Okay.
The hours are pretty similar. They're more spaced out and kind of erratic. But, the time that we spend practicing, doing publicity stuff, and doing shows and all that stuff, tear down, driving, it all adds up to being a very full work week. But you have those days in between, days off that you can kind of go and enjoy the local festivities.
Well, listen, I know, and that's your home province too, right, Jessica?
BC,
which must be cool. But also, you're bringing that instrument that you don't see every day. In fact, this is the first time I've seen one that wasn't just a button on a synthesizer.
Very cool.
It's a koto, which you learned to play in Japan, right?
Right. Yes, exactly. Sorry.
Is that solid wood?
it's not solid wood. It's hollow, and there's one piece on the bottom, and then another piece makes up the sort of arc and the sides.
Oh.
But there are select few sort of koto makers in Japan who still know the ancient tradition of koto making. So I'm looking forward to getting a new koto when I go to Japan next. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, that we would love to hear it. If you
Sure.
would grace us with a song now, we'd love to hear it.
We would love to. We're going to play a song called Kid Dream, which I believe that either the last time or the time before that I was visiting you guys on the show, we had just launched the music video for that. We actually only have 2 official music videos, and that this is the song for the other one. And the new one, I believe we'll see at the end of the show.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4.
That's really awesome.
That was beautiful.
Thanks.
What does that sound like?
Sounds
I
like a
don't know.
koto.
You tell me. I'm not objective anymore.
I think it sounds like a mixture between a harp and a sitar.
That actually is a really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually.
Yeah, I could hear the sitar for sure.
Yeah, because you get that kind of bend.
Yeah.
I can hear the
aspect
harp
of it.
actually. So
And harp for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a huge piece of equipment.
Sure
That's
is.
like 6 feet long or something.
Well, it's funny because in this band, I mean, we're just a trio, but I mean, I'm also an electric guitar player, and so to any given gig, we've got the double bass, which is not a small instrument.
No.
We've got the koto, which I think wins for height, like minimum height. And then we've got, you know, amps, we've got guitars, pedal boards, we've got full drum kits, we've got lots.
So what did you travel in, Jessica? When you guys went out west, what did you...
Well, what we did was we flew out west with a few minimal pieces of our equipment. I brought guitar, he brought his cymbals, and Dan brought his bass and his amp, actually. And so we flew out with that. Actually, he brought not his own bass, but a smaller bass that you can travel with.
Okay.
And then when we arrived in Vancouver, we rented the rest of our gear from the music store, except for the koto, which of course you can't rent from there.
No.
But my mother, who's the koto player, that is the reason why I ended up playing koto. She has her koto in Vancouver, so every time I tour to the West, I borrow her koto
Wow.
indefinitely.
That's awfully handy.
Very handy. I think it would be much more costly. I mean, it's already very costly, but just to ship it. I mean, we had to like bubble wrap and ship the koto back to her from Alberta, and it was it looked like a mummy, and it was huge. It was hilarious.
Well, you know, if something went horribly wrong, you could always go viral with some video like United Breaks Kotos or something like that.
Or we could say, is it really an alien in here? Because it's all bubble wrap. It could look like a mummy or...
It was in green bubble wrap.
So there you go.
Where do you get green bubble wrap for God's sakes?
Yeah, well, just home hardware.
Okay, guys. Listen, now I know you have the new album coming out too,
Yeah.
right? Now, and by the way, I should mention, because I recognize that song you just played, it was your video single from the last
That's
album,
correct.
right?
Yes,
So-
you got it.
And
the
we
title
are
track.
we're going to watch the new video from your new upcoming album, right? Which is called Two Sides to Every Story. Do you want to tell us the story of Two Sides?
Of the story of Two Sides to Every Story, or the story of the music video for Don't Ya?
Well, let's talk about the record for a minute.
Okay, well, the record, I think it's there's definitely sort of a lyrical theme going on throughout, which is just as the title says, basically two sides to every story. So that thread sort of carries through many of the tunes. But I think basically the album is. We sort of had some magical recording sessions when we made the album. So I'm really excited about how it sounds. It has this real special vibe about it. It sort of takes me to a place more than the previous recordings that we have done. So.
And what was it that created this special vibe that you had going on?
I think, to be honest, the last record we recorded when the band was sort of a year old and had maybe played 20 shows, 25 shows to our name. But the next album was recorded after many tours, many years playing together, and also me having really figured out what kind of vibe of music I really wanted to do in this group. So it's less experimental in sort of like, let's see what fun we can have with this and that, and more like I want to write songs with sort of sing along hooks, but with heavy, interesting grooves, and which take musical chances and rely heavily on our sort of live playing vibe together, because we all bring a lot to the table in terms of live performance. I mean, every show is slightly different. So when we went to the recording studio, whereas with the first album, I felt like, we did a good job in the studio, and we're like, okay, a take would be done, and we'd say, oh, do we get a clean take of that? Because we're recording all of the instruments at once. The vocal we do later and any extra pieces, but we do live off the floor recording. So we sort of had that approach. Oh, did we get what we needed to get? But with this album, it was more like we just went for it. There was no inhibition. There was no, I don't know if you've heard of the terror of the green light in the studio. Like when the light hits record, all of a sudden you're incapable of doing, the things that you usually
That's what
do.
happens around here when we turn the mics on.
So there was no weird feelings or green light syndrome going on. It was really just natural. I mean, in fact, the song Don't Ya, which we're going to see the video for, that was our very first take of the first song of the day.
Wow.
It's in its entirety.
So you lived without first take.
That was it.
That's
We did
perfect.
we did 2 more just because, oh, well, hey, we're here. We should probably do 2 more. But our very first thing that we played right off the top, which might have even just been a test in our minds or whatever, we were just getting sounds, ended up being the Sweet Take, which
That's
is the
great.
single.
So basically you were relaxed, right?
It was
Yeah.
relaxed. We took some fun chances, and the music just had a special thing to it. So no complaints there. I'm really excited to share the new album, and I feel like it definitely puts your mind in a space, and I think that's a special thing about an album instead of just being a collection of songs.
Okay, well, we're looking forward to watching the video of the single from the record coming up at the end. But now you're going to do one more song for us. Is this from the new album?
No, actually, you're getting the full spread right here. You got the Kid Dream from our last album, Kid Dream, and at the end we're going to see Don'tcha, which is from our upcoming album, Two Sides to Every Story. But this song is actually newer than that. So it'll be on an album down the line.
Wow, that's awesome.
So you're getting a little bit of past, present, future of the Jessica Stuart Few.
So you're already working on the new material.
Well, basically the way it works is I don't write music to put out albums. I write music because it's in my nature and it's my passion. And so I'm perpetually writing new songs. Like for this tour, for instance, I wrote 2 new tunes, which are fun and in a cool direction. This one was one which came about kind of by fluke, and actually Tony's going to be playing koto with me on it.
Nice.
Right.
Wow.
So what's it called?
This one's called Same Girl.
Same Girl.
You can move to the side if you want. Yeah, go for it.
Started out, we were going to school. Half is classes, half life lessons. I don't care if I'm learning the rules. I'm always the same girl. Moons passed and I've earned some wise. Peel the layers, try some prayers. Times are tough, but why should I lie? I'm always the same girl. Always the same girl. Take the time to travel the world. Rose lenses out of your glasses. Make the most so we all can get by. I'm always the same girl. Real love for the very first time. It's misguided, fates collided. In the end, we're all gonna die. But I'm always the same girl. Always the same girl. Always the same girl. Always the same girl.
Great.
Thank
Well,
you
guys.
So unique.
Oh, thank you.
So amazing. Love that.
Thanks.
Which is really hard to do these days, to come up with something that's a kind of a new sound and a new approach to music, and it really does.
But yet I can still hear the catchiness. Like both tunes are both really catchy. So you are taking that whole pop thing as well.
I am, it's really, it's very organic, this whole thing, and I like a wide range of music, from pop to modern jazz to ethnic music, all sorts. So I think it's just what happens after a person is exposed to so much stuff during their life. But I'm also like a musician-y musician. I'm not like a lyricist who like plays an instrument to accompany myself. I'm like, I'm probably more of a musician than a poet, I would say. And so I always like to, I need to be inspired by the ideas that I come up with. And so I think probably the uniqueness is just that I don't, there's a lot of derivative music out there, and it's impossible to shed your influences entirely from your writing. So I'm not trying to do anything like that. But, I want to do things which are compelling to me, and I like the sound of it. I feel like, doesn't sound like everything else out there, but without, being like, I'm going to try to be unique. That's not it. It just ends up coming out like that. But
well, I think you hit the balance.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And now, so the album's coming out when?
It's going to be out before the end of the year. We're just, everything's basically done for the album. We're just seeing if we'll be putting it out independently or having any support from anyone else in putting it out that might be able to help us reach a larger audience.
And you possibly might be going to Japan as well, you
That's
mentioned,
true.
right?
Yes, we're actually, I've been speaking with someone who represents artists in Japan and is an event booker in Japan, and we're talking about booking a tour for fall 2013.
I would think this might be the kind of thing that would just go over huge in Japan, because it's a kind of a bit of a fusion of the Japanese music with Western Canadian music.
Well, we do have a Japanese fan base here and in other places we play. In general, no one's ever come up to me from Japan and said, I'm offended with the way that you're using my my country's national instrument. So that's nice. Most people seem to have embraced the way that I use it, and I'm not trying to be like, I don't know. I'm lucky that I was exposed to this instrument early on. I mean, since birth, my mother's played since long before I was born. So I just grew up with this, and then when I did live in Japan with my family, I don't actually remember how it came to be, but I know my mother says that I desperately wanted to study koto, and so I know that I studied koto and my sister didn't, so it wasn't like my parents just put us in koto classes. So there was something that I was drawn to when I was 9 years old, which I don't exactly remember what it was, but clearly I'm still into it now. So.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. So you just did the show at the Reilly, and is there going to be a chance for people anywhere else in the near future? Any shows scheduled or anything?
Yeah, actually, we do have something on the 31st of August. We're doing this. There's this sort of community outreach type concert series they do once a month on Regent Street on the east side of town, just I think at Regent and Dundas, and I think it's affiliated with a community center that's around there, and maybe a school. I wish I knew all of the details for you, but it's the event runs 6:30 to 9 p.m. on Friday, August 31st, and I believe it's free, and we're playing at 7:30, so we'll probably play half an hour to 45-minute set, the full trio.
Wow, nice.
That's great. Is it that Art Heart thing or something like that?
Is it what?
Art Heart? Does that ring a bell?
It's possible. They just used, when they asked me, they didn't they said, we want you to do this. Here's the information you need to know. Can you?
Cool.
And that was basically it.
See, it might be that Art Heart synchronicity going on with the Heal the Heart, Feel the Earth thing.
Kim doing something there?
I don't know. I don't think so.
You know what?
Anyway, great to have you guys on. I wish we could hear more songs, but I guess we'll just have to wait till the album is coming out, and we're going to watch the video now.
Well, we hope that people will enjoy the video. It's a funny, quirky little story, and we're really happy with how it turned out. It actually had a lot of volunteers working on it as well, like the last one you might remember, but this one actually had over 50 people volunteer their time as well.
Well, I know the last one was a work of art, so I'm looking forward to seeing this one here.
Well, I hope it measures up, and I hope that if people like it, that they'll go to our YouTube page, and the song's called Don'tcha, and it's our username is the Jessica Stuart Few, and I hope that people will share it around and feel free to put it on their own blogs and things like that, and get the world to watch it.
Okay, and is there a website, Jessica, that people can check out?
There is. Our main website, which has all sorts of interesting stuff, not just about us, but other amazing creative stuff going on, is jessicastuartmusic.com, and my last name, Stuart, is spelled Stuart. So we also, of course, have a Facebook page, which is Jessica Stuart Few, and Twitter, Jess Stuart Few, and then the YouTube, like I said.
Okay, so jessicastuartmusic.com.
You got it.
And they can probably link to everything from there. And that's like the Stuarts, like the kings of England. Illegitimate though they may be. Okay, guys.
I'm not related to them, but anyway, that's okay.
All right, thanks for doing this today.
You're just weird.
No, you're weird.
Thank you guys so much for having
Thanks,
us.
guys.
Really appreciate it.
Guys, good luck.
And that's it for the show. Before we hear the video, thanks, Sandra. Thank you. So we'll see you tomorrow at noon for more Liquid Lunch right here on thatchannel.com. Here's Jessica Stuart Few.
Traveling man, taking trips to Japan. Don't I make a home everywhere that I go? Sometimes